back, y'all. This is Murder with Mike, and today we will be exploring the shadowy labyrinth of the human psyche and the lives of those who have left an indelible stain on the pages of true crime history. Today's episode is one that will send shivers down your spine as we examine the disturbing odyssey of James Waybern Hall, infamously known as the Arkansas Butcher. So settle in, dim the lights, and get ready for an in-depth look at the grisly exploits of a man whose charm masked a deep, dark secret. James Hall Red, as he was commonly known, was born in a world of strict moral absolutes in the heart of the Ozarks in 1920. Raised in the rural town of Happy Valley, Arkansas, his family of 10 children were presided over by a stern father, Samuel Jerome Hall, who was both a man of the cloth and a farmer. The household was steeped in religion and discipline, the latter often doled out with a heavy hand. Young Red was no stranger to the sting of his father's switch, which he used to maintain order among his many offspring. However, it wasn't just the physical pain that shaped James Hall's future. At the delicate age of 12, James would sustain a severe head trauma that would cast a long, dark shadow over his life. The extent of the injury and its psychological repercussions remain a subject of speculation among experts and armchair psychologists alike. Was this the moment that unlocked the beast within him? The catalyst for his descent into the abyss of depravity? As he grew into a young adult, James Hall's life took a sinister turn. His first known victim was his own wife, Fairine Clemens Hall. The year 1944, and the couple's union had been fraught with turmoil from the start. Fairine, just 19 years old and filled with hope for a brighter future, was brutally beaten with a pipe wrench. Her lifeless body was discovered in a shallow grave, a chilling testament to the violence that had marked the end of their short-lived marriage. The charm of James Hall was a double-edged sword. On one hand, it served him well as he traveled the highways and byways of America, thumbing rise and weaving his way into the lives of unsuspecting souls. On the other hand, it was his very charm that allowed him to commit heinous acts of murder, often for the most trivial of gains. His modus operandi was as simple as it was horrific: charm, rob, and kill. So, between the years of 1938 and 1944, Red claimed to have taken the lives of 24 people. This figure, while staggering, could very well be the tip of the iceberg. His victims spanned across various walks of life, from a Kansas doctor to a Texas Bible salesman, and the crimes themselves were as varied as the locations where they occurred. Each life he snuffed out was merely a notch on his bloody belt, a grim trophy in his twisted quest for power and control. But the universe does have a way of balancing the scales, and soon enough, the shadow of suspicion began to creep in on Hall's heels. With each murder he committed, the noose of justice tightened around his neck. So, his time in the Navy, a brief respite from civilian life that had been intended to straighten him out, ended abruptly after just 8 weeks with a dishonorable discharge. This was the final nail in the coffin of his already precarious existence. In January 1945, the police were inundated with unsolved murder cases, each one more gruesome than the last. It wasn't until they linked the dots to the disappearance of Fairine and the subsequent discovery of her body that they had their prime suspect. Ballistics tests would later confirm their suspicion, connecting a gun found in his possession to one of the many bloody killings. The trial was swift, and the evidence against him very damning. James Hall, the man who had once charmed his way through life, now faced the ultimate judgment. Convicted and sentenced to death, he met his fate with an eerie smile on his face, as if the gravity of the situation had not fully sunken in. On January 4th, 1946, he was strapped into the electric chair, his final act a chilling reminder of the monster that had been lurking beneath the surface all along. The tally of his crimes were horrific, but what perhaps is most stirring and disturbing is the sheer banality of his motives. The sum total of his ill-gotten gains was a mere few $100s and some stolen goods. Yet, he claimed the lives of so many, as if their existence meant nothing to him. His charm was as much a weapon as the tools of his trade, lulling his victims into a false sense of security before he struck without mercy. What can we learn from the story of James Red Hall? Well, perhaps it's that the devil truly does wear a smile, that he and evil can hide in plain sight, and that the human capacity for cruelty does know no bounds. Or maybe perhaps it's just a cautionary tale about the scars that can be left by a violent upbringing and untreated mental illness. Whatever the lesson, one thing is certain. The legacy of the Arkansas Butcher serves as a stark reminder of the darkness that lurks within a human soul. So, the next time you're on the open road and a friendly face with a thumb out makes eye contact and looks innocent enough, remember the chilling tale of the man who turned a simple act of kindness into a dance with the Reaper. Hey, thank you for joining me on this harrowing journey, and remember to stay safe and keep your wits about you. Don't miss the next episode of Murder with Mike, where we'll be peeling back the layers of a notorious killer. Until then, good night and sleep tight if you can.